Hi, I'm Melissa and welcome to my channel, Life Out of Line. Today, I'm talking homeschool challenges. Yes, as much as everybody would like to think that is all sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies over here at my Donahue Academy homeschool, the truth is, it is not. Every homeschool comes with its challenges. Every child has their challenges. I definitely think that identifying the things that are most challenging for us personally as the adults, as the teachers, can be really beneficial to help us move forward with more confidence. Now, this is going to be kind of a chatty discussion, so hopefully you guys are ready for that. And at the end of it, I really want to also make some goals for myself and hopefully encourage you to make goals for yourself and really encourage you to take a deeper look at, if you're having trouble in your homeschool, what the trouble really is. The biggest challenge I have found for my homeschool is really honestly me. I know that seems loaded, but hear me out. This is the truth. My drive and my expectations can sometimes cloud the way that I want to teach. Now, I would love to say that I'm super open and flowy and, they learn at their own pace and all of these things, but unfortunately, that's just not my personality, and I wish that it was, but it's not. And I have to learn to overcome that every single day and realize that my children are each individuals. They learn differently. They learn at different paces. And my perfectionism has no effect on them. They are not striving for perfection. They're striving to learn. And in the first couple of years, and even sometimes now, I have to take a step back and ask myself, okay, why am I getting frustrated by this? Is it because of them or is it because of me? And have I set an expectation, or am I expecting them to just understand something that they might not get yet? And I have to take myself out of it and remember that I'm teaching them something new. And sometimes these things take time, even if I don't think that they should take time. Sometimes I think it's really hard for us to remember what it was like when we were learning these things. And I don't remember how long it took me to know how to do certain math problems, but for some reason I expect to explain something once and magically my children are going to understand it at the drop of a hat, and it's just unrealistic. So yes, I am the biggest challenge. So things that I do moving forward, goals that I have set for myself, especially this year, are to be more patient, to ask more questions of my children, like what exactly don't you understand, and try to explain things in different ways. Every child learns differently, and no matter what curriculum that you buy, you can buy the best rated curriculum in the world. Not every child is going to respond to that, and sometimes they just need a little more time and a little more explanation, or a different kind of explanation. So one of my goals this year is to take a step back and try a multi-sensory approach to different things. So if I see that they're having a challenge, try and bring in a more kinesthetic, try maybe some more auditory, maybe songs. I talked about in my curriculum video using the musical multiplication. I've seen that doing songs is really helpful for my kids to remember things. So that's one way that I am overcoming the challenge for me, is trying a multi-sensory approach. The other thing that I am trying is just taking a break. Not a full day break, not a week-long break, but when I notice myself getting frustrated by something, take a break. Go to a different subject, go outside, go run around the house, go give a snack. Anything that I have to do to take my mind off of the problem. A lot of times things are frustrating in the moment, but when we take a step back and we let ourselves calm down, we can come into it with fresh eyes and a better attitude. And I know we expect a lot from our kids to be able to handle our attitudes all the time, but they come with their own attitudes. If I can take a step back and give everybody time to decompress and then come back to it with a fresh start, I think that's going to be very helpful. The other thing is expectations. I have to remind myself all the time that kids learn at their own pace, and eventually they do get it. Also, not every child is going to be gifted in every single thing. Once again, I know we hear all these amazing stories about homeschoolers and, they're doing college courses and this and that. And that's great, but that might not be every homeschooler's story. And that's okay too. The world is not full of the same kind of people. We need people that have strengths in all sorts of different things. If they're not going to be a doctor, we need somebody who's really good with their hands. We need people that, want to cook or, want to do art, want to make music, want to write stories. There's so many other things and strengths that children can hone in on, that the curriculum at the end of the day is not always the most important thing. The other challenge that I find for myself is time. Now, I don't know if anybody is like me, but when I feel like I have to be somewhere or do something, I get very anxious. Now, I feel like I'm throwing myself under the bus here and telling everybody all my personality flaws, but it's true. I just get overly anxious about timing things. So one thing that I'm really trying to do this year is not schedule things in the first couple of hours of the day when I know that I'm doing school. So if it's just a play date, if it's going to the grocery store, any of those things, I have to have it in my mind or schedule it outside of that first part of the day, and I just have to be okay with that. Some things just aren't as important as my children, and sometimes I think it's easy for us to get off track. If you've made this decision to homeschool, you've obviously decided that your kids and their education is priority. So we really should make it a priority and make sure we carve out the time that we need to be able to do school in the way that we would like to do it, and in a way that's not going to cause us extra stress because we're trying to rush through it. Now, obviously things come up. There's going to be days where we have doctor's appointments or dentist appointments, or maybe a special trip came up on a day that's usually not scheduled for trips. And in which case, just planning your weeks around that. Now, I'm not like one of those people that plans, okay, this hour is this hour is that. I don't do that. But I have a general idea of what time I would like to be done things. And if there's a day where I know, hey, we have the opportunity to go do this trip and I think it's going to be beneficial and probably more beneficial than just sitting inside doing bookwork, then I will just take bookwork off the table, because we are still doing school. We are still getting an education. We are still getting through the things that we need to get through. We just may not be doing work in a book, and that's okay. That's part of the reason I wanted to homeschool anyway, is to have that kind of freedom. Challenge number 3 is having multiple children in multiple ages, including a toddler. Now, I know a lot of homeschoolers are in this same situation, or maybe you haven't homeschooled yet and you have multiple children in multiple ages and toddlers and babies, and you're wondering how the heck you're supposed to get this all done. Well, I promise you, A, it's possible. People do it with a lot more children than I do. B, I think flexibility is really important with that as well. And C, you have to be able to kind of go with the flow a little bit and realize that the toddler is probably going to require your attention, and you just have to work with that. And hopefully the older ones become very, very good at not getting easily distracted. So ways that I try to work my schedule is usually I try to do each of my kids at a time. I kind of rotate them, and as they're rotating, somebody is playing with the baby, or giving him a snack or getting him something new to play with, whether it's Play-Doh, magnet tiles. I also keep some of my old curriculum books because he likes to be a part of things. So he grabs a pencil and he just pretends right along with us. Having multiple ages can be a challenge, but it's just trying to work. And sometimes he's upset, and I have to just be able to take a step back and say, hey guys, just give me a minute, let me get him calmed down, and then I'll be back to you. And generally they're okay with that. Generally they're okay with that as long as they get a break. Usually they're okay with getting a break. So another way I have found that I can make multiple ages work is finding curriculums that I can do with everybody. So sciences, history, read alouds, those kinds of things, even art, can all be done together. And this saves a lot of time. So instead of individually doing every single subject, the individual subjects are language arts and math, and the rest of the subjects we do as a family. And honestly, most curriculums do kind of come in that kind of family style, so they can be done with multiple ages. Now, the younger ones usually aren't going to do as much of the lesson. Maybe they don't do the journals or that kind of stuff. Maybe they just do a coloring page. I allow my daughter, who is about first grade, to choose how much she wants to do. And usually she's up for the challenge and wants to do just as much as my older one is doing. But I just give her that flexibility and allow her to kind of choose how in-depth that she would like to go. Having group subjects, I think, is a great way also to do these experiments and have everybody involved. And oh, there's a deer. Missed it. Anyway, so yeah, doing group subjects is a really great way to get everybody doing the same thing and saves a lot of time. Also, not doing every subject every single day. It's not necessary. You can do a science a couple days a week and a history a couple of days a week, or once a week. It depends on how much you really want to get done, and I think it also depends on the age of your children. Obviously, if you have older children, then you might need to do a little bit more because they require a little bit more. But when they're young, you really can have flexibility, and it should be more about having fun and getting them outside and getting them observing and just learning in those kinds of ways versus sitting there and constantly just doing curriculum. My last thing that I have found challenging is prioritizing outside time. Now, I know that sounds crazy because my kids do go outside every day, but I feel like a lot of it is them just going out to play, which is fine. I want them to do that, and they should have as much of that as possible. But I would like to prioritize going out and actually using it as a time for education. So going out and observing more, going out and collecting things for more projects. Once again, I feel like this is one of those things that I want to do, but I don't make it a priority because I am constantly thinking about all the other things that I need to do. And once again, challenging myself to make changes is really where it's at. I have a goal of making it more of a priority to go out, do a little more nature time, do a little more nature observing, get the kids some nature journals, and really start getting them to admire the beauty around them versus coming out to play, which once again, completely fine. I just want to add to that. I want to add to the experience that they have being outdoors. We live in a really beautiful area, and fall is just around the corner, and it's a really good time to be outside. So I will be outside as much as possible as per my goal. So I hope everybody will join me. So to round it out, my goals for this year are A, working on patience, working on like a multi-sensory approach, trying different ways to make sure my kids are understanding and avoiding frustration when I can. 3, making sure that everybody is entertained, the toddler's entertained, and just being flexible with our schedule, just in case there's times where he needs a little bit more of my attention, or if one of the kids is sick, having flexibility in my day and knowing that this period of chaos is very short-lived, and there's going to be a time where I know that I miss having a little one around disrupting my schedule. And lastly, prioritizing getting outside and nature observance. I want my kids to love nature. I want them to love being outside, and I want them to enjoy the beauty of the things around them. So really trying to make that a goal this year. So for me, those are my goals. I'm going to write them down, and I would love to hear your goals as well, and hopefully check in with everybody in a few weeks and let you guys know how my goals are going. Now, if you can relate to any of this, give me a thumbs up, and if you have experienced different challenges in your homeschool, I'd love to hear about what challenges you see and how you plan on working to improve them. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like these kinds of chatty videos. Like I said, I'd love to hear from you and some of the things that challenge you and what your goals are for this homeschool year.